Welcome to the May 25th, 2021 episode of Reactive Consciousness, the in-depth podcast about what happened this week in our lives. Lots of THs. I am your host, vysethebold, and this is...
Lotus Thrince.
Thanks, Lotus Prince. Lotus Prince.
Yeah, right.
I think we're literally the only language that has that sound.
What, the TH?
Yeah, I don't think there's any other language that has it.
I think there are some dialects of Spanish that have the TH instead of the S.
Yeah, but like French doesn't have it, so like French people have a hard time with it. Italian doesn't have it, and obviously any Asian countries don't have it. So,
actually, did you ever see the old? Oh no, this isn't gonna work because I forgot the name of the damn movie. But there's an old black and white movie about a professor whose life kind of spirals out of control, but in the very beginning, when he's super hardcore German professor and he's asking his students to read some part of Shakespeare in English or whatever, and the student is saying the word the, but he's pronouncing it the German way, like za, and the professor just takes like tongs, just like holds his tongue out to make him say the TH sound. Like, damn, hardcore.
I don't think
or not
you
to
could
be,
properly...
that is za. Like, no. Like, oh my god.
I think it's literally the hardest thing to learn if you didn't learn it like growing up.
Yeah.
And it's like it's
like
also
bite
one of
your
the most
tongue,
common
bite your tongue and blow.
Yeah. It's also one of the most common like speech impediments in English as well. So
yeah.
like even children have a hard time with it.
Yep.
And adults. So yeah. But anyway, we have a motherfucking bummer of a week, and we're not gonna get into it until the end. We have a whole corrective dedicated to it, but my god, I had a hard time this week. I'm not even joking. Usually I don't get emotional with public figures.
I was gonna say the same thing when we got to that point. I usually am like, oh well, that's unfortunate, but you know, my life goes on. This genuinely bummed me out. This is the first time in a while.
I cried from it. We'll get to it, but it was one of the worst things that I've heard in a long time. Like in the public space, I should say. Not personally, but it's really sucks. But we'll get to it. I just want to first do a follow up on the IGN, taking down their support for Palestinian relief.
Yeah.
Versus their Israeli counterpart. Apparently none of the writers, none of the editors had any say in this, and they were extremely angry. Yeah, they were extremely angry that they were censored by the company. So a large number of their senior staff and freelancers wrote a public open letter to the company saying how disappointed and how they thought that the morality of the entire issue was really bunk. Because when it comes to journalism, being truthful is the goal, and also being ultimately representative of the opinions of the staff is extremely important, and it's just a disturbing thing. Now, I know that this is a very complicated issue, but the kinds of things that the relief was going towards is something that I don't think you any person could really argue against unless you just absolutely hate everybody.
Well, that's the whole thing. Like, yeah, you're gonna silence relief for people whose homes were blown up. Like, really? Like, we're not talking enemy
children
forces.
For education, for women's health during these times, during a wartime. it wasn't for people that are fighting. It was for people that were affected, citizens that were affected. I think any side of any war, we need people. We need help for citizens that are getting caught in the crossfire between, government powerful ideologies and things like that. So, it's just a really big shame that it's coming to that, and it's coming to the point where you have to take sides. Where I don't think you, I don't care what you think, but if you're attacking children and you're saying that is somehow justifiable, I don't really want to talk to you.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care who their parents are. I don't care who they will become or you think they will become. Killing innocent children and people that don't have anything to do with the fighting is on any side of any war and any ideology is abhorrent. So I hope I make myself clear in saying that I'm not condoning any sort of violence on either side. I don't. I think anytime anybody who gets affected by this that had nothing to do with it, other than being part of a group, I think that's a big shame. That's the long and short of it. And if I can distill that, I think that's the best. But yeah, this situation is hopefully on the mend. They've agreed to a ceasefire, so that's good. But I don't want to get too much into it. Again, we're not going to get into the complicated politics of what's been happening over there. But we did have to follow up on a previous story, so want to make sure that you have the opportunity as well, Lotus, to say whatever you like as well.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have anything to comment on?
Nope. Nothing new.
No, basically, I'm sure we're in agreement for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what I'm gonna say that isn't some kind of reworded version of what you said.
Okay. Well, generally speaking, politically, Lotus and I are very simpatico. But anyway, moving on. This is a pretty big thing. So eBay is set up a bunch of rules banning the sale of adult material, including games. And it's very odd, the wording of it. They're allowing the sale of magazines and periodicals as long as they're labeled as such. So you could sell Playboy still. But it's very odd the way that they named it. They don't have specific guidelines as to what an adult game is.
Well, that's what I was going to get into, which is just dumb. I don't know. If you really are going to try to ban porn games or whatever, just do the AO rating, which almost nothing has. Because otherwise, what are you going to do? Screen every game? You can't sell God of War 2 on the PlayStation 2 because there's frontal nudity in it? What is this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's aimed at selling manga gamer kind of stuff, H novels.
Yeah. I mean, there are full-on hentai games, but if you're oh well, I don't want this particular content to be in it, that's more broad sweeping than you might think, and nobody's gonna scream for this shit.
Yeah, and it didn't give specific guidelines as to what it was.
Just AO shit. We're done. That sweeps.
And there are
just about everything you'd want. Yeah.
There are very few.
There's everything on Jast, and then Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
Well, the old version of it.
Yeah, the old version that had a fan mod applied to it.
Yeah, I think there is adult only. There's a very, very few games that got it retroactively.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this, by the way. A lot of the kinds of games we're referring to, like can't be sold on eBay. Most of this shit is digital only, or you would get it physically from their original sites anyway, unless it's like super old. But if you're talking console games, what are you looking for?
Yeah, so famous games that have gotten the AO rating, the original version of the Indigo Prophecy Director's Cut.
Oh, I didn't even know that. And you could just buy that shit on GOG anyway.
Well, what's funny about it is once it got its remaster, which had no cuts at all, it was rated M. So,
oh, maybe that's why I hadn't heard of it, because I was just aware of it. Like, oh, the cut content was restored. Like, I didn't know about the rating elsewhere.
So the new version is exactly the same as this, but like with better fidelity, and it was rated as mature.
Because there's like because David Cage games are very like QTE and button interactive stuff, and there was one of those for like a sex scene, which is like really, but that's in there.
Yeah, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas retroactively and only shortly it got an update. They took games off the shelves and then removed the code. Hatred, which is a terrible game that everybody has agreed to ignore.
Honestly, yeah, like I wouldn't touch that game with a 10-foot pole, but I still question the AO part. Like Postal's allowed, and that's just as shitty.
I have to say that Mortal Kombat 11 is probably the most violent game ever made. I'm gonna go out
like
right
Mortal
out
Kombat 9 and 10. I still haven't played 11, but 9 and 10 are the most grisly. Like this isn't hilarious anymore. Levels of violence.
They watched literal butchery of cadavers in order to like.
Yeah, like there comes a point. It's like Dead Space where they looked at like Mangold's car crash victims to get the necromorph design. It's like, dude, I don't want to work for you.
Yeah, no, there have been employee complaints about like being disturbed.
Shit. Yeah,
stuff.
like I don't want. What was that visceral game? Like fuck off, man. That's creepy.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it had a great effect. Like, not gonna lie, it's a great game as a result.
Sure,
but like, Jesus Christ,
force somebody to do that.
Yeah, like you do it.
Yeah.
See how you like it.
Or just have like a guy that is okay with it. That's Tommy. He reviews all the real stuff.
It just makes me think of like Homeland Security, the people who look up like, or the people who have to like track down specific kinds of crimes and like pan through that shit, and they can't do it for more than like a month or two before they have to like trade out for somebody else.
People that have to monitor pedophiles.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, like you can only do that for so long before you're like, dude, switch me to some other fucking position.
Oh, I could not do that job.
Yeah,
I would not want to. I'd rather never come in contact with it.
Yeah.
This is probably one of the most famous ones. Leisure Suit Larry Magna Cum Laude has an uncut and uncensored version that is sold on GOG that has actual nudity in it.
I've seen Magna Cum Laude. Like, I guess I saw the console version, but like, who wants an uncensored version of that? That game looks like crap.
Oh, you could buy it on GOG.
Okay. I mean, that game's visuals are terrible.
Manhunt 2 PC version, digital version of that.
Yeah, I think there's like I think the Russian PC version is like the true uncensored version or something like that.
Yeah,
it's some weird thing. Like you got to go find it.
Yeah, I don't know. That game was probably the most violent until Mortal Kombat 9.
Yeah, even Manhunt 1, like for the time, was like uncomfortable. Manhunt 2, I heard, stepped it up, but I haven't played it yet. I have like, beaten Manhunt 1.
On-screen testicular torsion.
Yeah, that's fucked up. That's maybe a step too far.
Playboy the Mansion, another
wasn't that
erotic game.
Oh no! For just a second, I was gonna ask if that was GameCube, but I think that I think I'm confusing it with BMX XXX.
No, but this was also the expansion that like unlocked the nudity. On the Windows version, not like the console version.
So, was this official, or was this some person who was like Tomb Raider nudity?
No, it's real. This is an official game.
Huh. I mean, it is Playboy,
Thrill Kill,
but still.
which never came out.
Yeah, throw kill doesn't exist, and that game would never get an AO by today's standards, but it was edgy for its time.
Yeah.
I've played it on like emulator because it's the only way you can play it.
And really, that's it. I mean, everything else is like I've never heard.
By the way, if anybody wants to play throw kill, you could play that. What is it called? Like Wu-Tang Shaolin style.
Yeah,
it's the same game except it's not like ultra violent,
and it's terrible too.
Yeah, so. I mean, throw kill is like you only play it for the violence. Like, I can't believe Mom doesn't know I'm playing this, but the game's not good.
Moral of the story here is that like adult-only games, like if you want that kind of thing, like you can go get it on Steam and like itch.io.
Yeah, well, it's like I was saying, the only time this will genuinely be a problem for you is if you want like an old physical like Japanese game from the 90s that you've never heard of, the imported big box.
This is I guarantee, pretty much guarantee that you will never hear about a mainstream person, like a mainstream game being taken.
Yeah, there's stuff like Saya no Uta, which Jast sold, so maybe that'll have a problem on eBay if you want a physical copy. But like, those are fringe cases.
Such a fringe game, and only somebody who wants that.
Yeah, that's just for the sake of having it on your shelf, which I do, by the way, because I hear the game's genuinely good, but you can easily get it digitally.
Game, yeah, but yeah. I mean, that's an unusual item, though. It's a curio.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the whole thing. It was it wasn't a novelty, but now that Windows 10 exists, it is a novelty because you don't need physical discs anymore.
Yeah. People are up in arms about this, but honestly, I don't see it being enforced like widely.
That's the thing. I am bothered by it, but like I don't know what they're gonna do to try to enforce it unless there's nudity on the cover of the game or something. I mean, which none of them have.
Like old school like erotic games like Custer's Revenge being like, you know, like, but I still think it'll be on there.
The box is edgier than the game. The game is blocks, although still that game's
that game is like the concept of it is disgusting.
Yeah, like if you see the game, you're like, but like the description of it is, I mean, you could tell what's happening, but it's fucked up.
Yeah, no, that one.
I didn't know an Atari game could make me uncomfortable, but here we are.
Yep, no, it's even worse nowadays. I would say. But anyway, moving on. This was a pretty big thing. So they Deep Silver has announced that a new Timesplitters is coming with former members from Free Radical, which is really neat.
And I think that's the thing. I had read this, but like you might have a better interpretation of this than I do. So it's former members of Free Radical, but like, so is that what they meant when they're saying quote Free Radical is coming back together, or are they actually bringing back the named studio Free Radical?
I'll read it from the Kotaku article or IGN article. Ugh. I'm sorry, I'm using that. After years of speculation, fan requests, and false starts, Timesplitters is finally returning for real. Deep Silver announced that today that a number of key original members from Free Radical Design have joined together to reform the studio under the same name.
There it is. Okay.
Including founders Steve Ellis and David Doak. So yes, this is a real Timesplitters game. From the people who care about it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say this is not like the brand new Perfect Dark game, except nobody on Rare is making that game.
No, this is not like a licensed cash grab from a fly-by-night studio. This is a game by the people who like cherished it and grew it from nothing. So,
and this is significant because we haven't had a new Timesplitters game since 3 console generations ago, like the GameCube, PS2 era.
Yeah, the Xbox, the original Xbox.
Yeah, so that era, like Future Perfect, I think it was.
Yeah, that's the third one. And that's where it stopped. And those these guys were former Rare employees that also worked on GoldenEye. So it is like literally the successor to GoldenEye and like the original Perfect Dark game. So
yeah, and when you look at it, you could tell it's like what if GoldenEye were on the GameCube? It's kind of like that.
Yeah, but the concept is way more developed. One of the big points of the Timesplitters multiplayer was that you could create your own levels. You could also have all kinds of crazy rules, kind of like you had slappers only and like
Yeah, or you choose your weapon loadout or
yeah,
whatever. Yeah.
exactly, or remote mines only, that kind of thing in GoldenEye. You could
Yeah.
do all kinds of wacky stuff like that. But even to the nines in Timesplitters, I think there was like a baseball bat mode, where you could just swing baseball bats at each other.
Huh.
Um, yeah, these games are really cool. The first Timesplitters is very kind of simplistic and also has very slow load times because it was an early PS2 game. But 2 and 3 are widely considered classics, where with the third one being like a super classic. Like everybody loves 2 and 3, with 3 being like the standout title. So and it has a really good story mode where you like interact with yourself from like previous levels.
Yeah, that was on
Um,
the back of the box. You team up with
yeah,
your past self or future self or whatever. That was a clever concept.
yeah, it's really neat, and yeah, this looks to be a brand new game. It doesn't say that it's a remake. It's everything seems to be pointing towards a fourth game,
Yeah, which is
which
good,
is
by the
pretty cool.
way, because like
Yeah,
that's always a big concern. Like after 15 years, we're finally back and we're releasing the first game again that you've already played. Like,
yeah.
fucking hell! Like, I mean, I appreciate a remaster, but like, come on, dude. Like, we've played that. We've been starving for a new one.
Yeah, so this is really really cool. We're like everybody's been begging for this for a long time, and it looks like it's finally happening. So that's really neat. Moving on from that, I just wanted to quickly mention, I forgot to mention this last week, but Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne HD Remaster came out on Switch last week. One of the more significant games to be released this week. I don't think there was much else, to be pretty honest. And Limited Run Games uh, also announced some really interesting things this week, and I was very happy about it. So the first thing was actually like a surprise pre-order announcement for Friday, this past Friday. So they are finally releasing Mega Man: The Wily Wars on a Genesis cartridge officially
Yeah,
in the
I
United
think
States.
they might be doing that as a collab because I think I've been seeing advertisements for that for strictly limited games.
Yeah, they're doing it also with Castlemania. I think they're distributing it through Castlemania Games, who did like the Holy Diver
Oh, that
release and
yeah.
all that stuff.
And this is
And
cool because number one, it's a Mega Man Genesis game,
yeah,
but number two, it's been PAL only up until just now. This will be the first
not
official Western
not
release.
entirely.
Oh,
So
what, like Sega Channel?
it's Sega Channel, correct?
Okay, okay,
Yes.
okay.
So this is the first time it's on cartridge, and they assured everybody that the PC B of the Genesis cartridge will be expertly made. In fact, the guy who is widely touted to be the designer of the best current PCBs of Genesis games is making it. It will have proper voltage. It'll work right. It'll have good components. It'll be beveled properly, so it won't damage your system. So this is really cool. I am not going to pick it up because personally, I think Mega Man: The Wily Wars is a curio at best.
Yeah, well, that's the
Um,
irony. It's considered to be like a mediocre game. It's cool for a novelty because it's
yeah,
like it's sort of like a best of the time of Mega
yeah.
Man.
So it is a collection of Mega Man 1, 2, and 3, but done with 16-bit graphics and Genesis sound chip. And then there is a museum section after you beat the first 3 games, so there is unique content. However, you have to beat all 3 original games, and beating the original 3 Mega Man games is not easy, especially the first game. The first game is very hard by anybody's standards. The 2 and 3 are manageable, I will say. They're 2 of the like the easier 8-bit Mega Man games, but those games are still very difficult unless you are good at that kind of game. And part of the reason why I'm not buying this is there are fan hacks out there that will allow you to automatically access the museum content, and also will have proper saving abilities. This will probably have proper saving abilities, but like the original like ROM had problems with it apparently. So I'd rather play the hacked version that will let me cut to the chase and play the original content, honestly. But I can see why you would want to get this. I mean, the art is really nice. The packaging that they're putting together for this is beautiful.
Yeah, they're going all out for the packaging.
This is really going to be a really nice item for your collection. Honestly, I think this is a really cool item. And Limited Run Games also announced a Double Dragon Day, which took people by surprise. So May 28th is apparently Double Dragon Day, and they are releasing 2 Double Dragon games on Switch that day, or opening pre-orders rather. Double Dragon 4, which they previously released on PS4, if I'm correct.
I do recall them releasing it before, so I guess it was PS4.
Yeah.
Because what else would it be? I suppose I didn't really pay attention to it at the time.
As much as I dislike Double Dragon 3 for the NES, I believe Double Dragon 4 to be close to the worst game in the series. I think it is very cheaply and sloppily made. I think it is not a good game. It feels soulless when you play it, like it's empty. Not a big fan of it, unfortunately. I am a big fan of Double Dragon, and I can honestly say go back and play your NES copy of 2, or 1, really. Or 3. Don't play Double Dragon 5 at all. Double Dragon 5 is terrible. The 4th game is still a lot of fun if a bit slow. But the really good thing is that they announced a physical copy of Double Dragon Neon, which has never gotten a physical copy.
That is a brilliant game with a great sense of humor, the ability to replay levels, power up your characters, fantastic soundtrack as well.
It is the best Double Dragon game. I'm just gonna come out.
It's not even a competition. It's obviously really the best Double Dragon game.
It is a really fun game. Even with nostalgia goggles, you can't really say even any of the older ones are better. It's really good. It's funny. It has RPG elements. It is a great 2-player game. It has saving ability. It's a lot of fun, and it's also one of the funniest games I've ever played. It's really good.
It is very funny.
I am for sure getting a physical copy of this because it has never... it's one of those games that people begged to have on the Switch, and finally it happened. And getting a physical copy of it is just icing on the cake. This is really cool. So I will be double dipping, but it's going to be worth it. Next one. Capcom Arcade Stadium is getting new games. They haven't confirmed anything, but they are releasing it on other platforms on May 25th, which is going to be today. So as of the release of this podcast, so it'll be on Xbox, PC, and PS4. So people that already own it for Switch can expect more games. I don't know whether you're gonna have to buy it or you just update it, but they haven't specified yet. That is really neat, really neat. I think them continuing to support a game that already has a lot of content and has a ton of classics on it, and also games that they'd never released before. The 19XX is a game I've been hounding for a very long time, and 1944 as well. So, and Pro Gear, and a few other games on there that have never been released in any other official capacity that I can think of. So I think this is really, really cool. Hopefully they'll add Gunsmoke, which is one of my favorite games. I really love Gunsmoke. It is hard as balls, but I really love it. And people are hoping that one day maybe Alien versus Predator, but I'm not gonna hold my breath. Anytime that game has only been re-released once, and it was on a weird Capcom.
Yeah, it was on some bullshit.
Capcom like arcade joystick for Europe only. So yeah, it was a weird release. Super Bomberman R Online is finally coming to Switch this week. This is widely considered to be one of the best uh, uh, games on Stadia that were exclusive. There we go. I forgot the word for exclusive, but yeah, Super Bomberman R, I can confirm, was a great multiplayer game, but having a free-to-play online version of it is going to do extremely well on the Switch. I can guarantee you there will be people playing it all the time. So that's really cool, and it's a good version of the game, and I'm sure plenty of people will buy the extra characters that they've come up with over the years.
You could play as Pyramid Head from
exactly.
Silent Hill 2. What the fuck?
Yeah, like was it the cyborg ninja?
From Metal Gear.
Simon Belmont, yeah.
Yeah, Simon Belmont's Gradius, I think.
Yeah, I think you could play as the
Vic Viper.
Yeah. Or maybe the Lord British as well.
I said Gradius. I think Gradius is a pretty cool guy.
But I knew what you meant.
I can't wait till you can play as Metroid.
He's gonna be great.
Red Mega Man.
In other news, this isn't like a big deal, but I just thought it was interesting. So Image and Form, the creators of the Steam World Dig, Steam World Heist, and Steam World Quest is the newest one. Have changed their name to SteamWorld Games, which I think is very smart.
Well, no, it's terrible, because now they're going to make a fourth game that's not SteamWorld, and people are going to be very confused. They'll be like, well, it's not yours, you're the SteamWorld company.
Well, actually, it would be their seventh game at this point.
Oh.
They made another game called Anthill for the iOS that got ported to Switch, thankfully.
They should have called themselves Anthill Games. Didn't think of that, did they?
And the very first SteamWorld game is still locked to the DSi/3DS. The SteamWorld is SteamWorld. It's a tower defense game. Yeah, SteamWorld Tower Defense. So yeah, but I think this is great. I mean, every one of the SteamWorld games has been great. Except for the tower defense one, I can't comment on. I haven't played. I own it, but I haven't played it. I'm not big on tower defense games, but I can tell you this, that SteamWorld Dig 1 and 2 are both amazing. SteamWorld Heist is... I did not expect to like it. I bought it, I was like, I hear it's good, but it's really not my type of thing. And I played it, and I loved it. And that is really cool. It turns out that the game is very kind of similar to if you combined Final Fantasy Tactics with Worms Armageddon.
Huh.
Does that make any sense? Like it's like 2D, and you traverse an area, but you can only move so many spaces, and
Sure.
you only have so many actions you can do. But you also have to carefully aim. And there's like that action element of aiming. So I really, really enjoyed that. I haven't played Quest yet, but I hear that one's good as well. So that's like a card-based RPG. So I'm looking forward to anything that they come out with, because they're really cool people. Also, Nintendo announced new games for its online channels for the NES and Super NES, and people were really big dicks about it, because there's not a whole lot of like showstoppers here, but there are some decent games here. It's just that the people that are really adamant about like things like getting Earthbound on there and things like that are just being obnoxious at this point. I could see why you'd be a little disappointed, but also being like really venomous and mean about this is, getting more games for free. I can't imagine that's a bad thing. So for the NES, there's a new Ninja Jajamaru-kun, the Famicom version of Ninja Jajamaru-kun, which is one of Jaleco's famous properties in Japan, not over here. And that was the only game there. And for SNES, you have Culture Brain Super Baseball Simulator 1000, which has like you can do all kinds of things like lower the gravity. You can have like superpower, like your pitcher can have superpowers and stuff like that. It's pretty fun to mess around with, but it's hardly a classic. Joe and Mac, which is a good game. Magical Drop 2, which only came out in Japan on the Super Famicom, but a classic puzzle game that a lot of people like. And Spanky's Quest, which is a decent platformer. So nothing truly bad here. It's just nobody's favorite stuff. It's just one of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Also, GeoFront is releasing their fan-localized version of patch for Trails to Azure, finally. I believe this is the final Trails game that has you haven't been able to play in English in one form or another. So this is really great. You could play the entire Trails series in English, as long as you're willing to play translated stuff. But that's still great. It's better than not having it at all. And these people put on a lot of work to fan localize this and Trails to Zero, which was the previous title. So this and from all accounts, this is a great game as well. So I probably will never find enough time to play those games, but I hear they're great. They're just good Falcom games. I just thought this was interesting. I threw this in here. Fans are creating a new port of TMNT, the arcade game for the Sega Master System, and it looks really bizarre. Good. Yeah, it looks really nice too. It looks like you wish the NES version looked, because the NES version, while fun, is very flickery, and it definitely shows its age in terms of graphics. So I like playing that game quite a bit, but if you have an FPGA-based system, turn on your sprite limiter, like into overdrive. Most FPGA systems have like a flicker reducer. That game needs it. And also, Mister is getting a bunch of really cool things happening. Somebody is revamping the Sharp X68000 core, which is a cult favorite computer PC platform in Japan. Probably most famous for like the Castlevania Chronicles game was originally on that, and also a bunch of other like arcade ports for the time, because it had the same PCU as a lot of arcade games at the time. So like Capcom released a really ballin' port of Strider on there, and Space Harrier looked really good on there. Also, the Cave Core, arcade core, is progressing. Looks like the creator of that has betas going for Guwange and Puzzle Luo Poco. Guwange in particular is a really fun shmup. Have you ever seen anything regarding Guwange?
I've never heard of it.
It is a cave game that was released on Xbox Live Arcade. It got a really good port, but it is an overhead shmup where you have like a character that's running around on the ground, kind of like Kiki Kai or
sure,
Pocky and Rocky. But there are some really neat looking like Japanese macabre monsters in it. I think you would really like the enemy designs in that game. I think that one's really cool. Also, Hotego released a CPS2 Pro Gear beta. CPS2 games are almost public, which is awesome. that'll probably be the most significant update to Mr. Cores in a long time, and it is a highly anticipated one. Also, Hotego recently got from a large donation of many arcade boards by somebody who wanted him to work on preserving their code and design and everything that goes into programming these things for FPGA for preservation purposes and for replayability and accuracy. He got a Raiden 2 board, which is amazing. Raiden 2 is one of the best shmups ever made. It's really cool. That's the game where they started adding the toothpaste laser. I don't know if you ever seen that, but
I've seen some of Raiden, but is that the one where it's just like a continuous beam kind of thing?
Exactly, and it has a homing component to it as well.
That can get. Isn't that the game where you level up the powers you have like in a cave game?
Yeah, it gets you can keep getting a larger and larger laser.
Yeah, like if you could survive long enough to get like a level 4 or 5 or whatever it is power, you're just like stupid by that point. You're just like covering the screen.
Yeah, I mean the toothpaste it's named the toothpaste laser because it basically looks like toothpaste. It's just like a stream of toothpaste coming out. But it's purple. It's cool. It looks like Aquafresh if you've ever used Aquafresh before. I think that's what it reminds people of. But Raiden 2 is probably the most renowned game in the series. Maybe not the best one, but it's up there. It's the game that made Raiden famous for sure. And then he also received a Hyper Olympic board, which is the sequel to Track and Field, Konami's Track and Field.
Wow.
And there are 7 games that use that hardware. So he could potentially have 7 more games just based off of that alone. An R-Type board, which is awesome. That has several Irem games on it, including R-Type. The original R-Type is an amazing game. It's a lot of fun. It's a very notable game. But also Legend of Hiratoma and Ninja Spirit, one of a very underrated, awesome arcade game. Ninja Spirit is really cool. He also got a Demon's World, which is a Tau Plan board, and which also has Flying Shark on it and Tatsujin. I've talked about Tatsujin many times. It's also called Truxton. It's that shmup with the
with the skull explosions.
Yeah, exactly.
That
game
has a level
awesome.
To lose too.
It probably has the coolest bomb animation of any game.
It's very good.
Yeah. A Pac-Mania board, which is really cool. So Pac-Mania is like an isometric Pac-Man game where you could jump. It's actually a favorite of mine, but no, not a lot of people like that one for some reason. I loved it. But it also has Splatterhouse with that same hardware. So Splatterhouse is one of the most renowned early horror games. It is an amazing game.
Crazy hard.
It's hard, but it's a lot of fun.
Like when you make it up to that mini boss in level 1, the Mr. Double Chainsaw guy.
Oh yeah.
You're fucking dead. If you have a couple guns on you, or you're dead. Yeah.
Yeah, you need to have your shotguns. But yeah, Splatterhouse is awesome. It is very effective in terms of being spooky and horror driven.
And surprisingly violent even by today's standards.
Yeah, no, just like duffing a zombie and like splattering it on the backdrop.
Oh, in the sewer, I love that. That's so cool.
That is like one of the
like,
you don't expect an enemy to dissolve behind you, from being fleshy.
Yeah.
And Diet Go-Go, which is a game that is kind of similar to like Bubble Bobble. It's like one of those single screen puzzlers, but it's a very well regarded one. So I just thought that was amazing that somebody like donated these to the cause of preservation, and like many games that will be appreciated will probably result out of this. One of the downfalls of this FPGA thing that goes along with Mister is that like in order for these people to do work on it, they need the original board. because they need to map the schematics so that their coding performs exactly the way that the hardware would if it were physically present. So they basically need to like decap like processors and chips on those boards and things like that, and like get down into the architecture of them, and this is just amazing. This also like this also means that like if there are two of something in the world, you probably won't ever see it being preserved via this method, because who's going to donate an arcade board to be dissected if there are only two of them left. So this is just an amazing thing. It's really cool. There's some rarities here too. I mean, Raiden 2 is not a cheap board. Raiden 2 is a very sought after arcade board, and it's not like Raiden 2 is ported very much. There's only like basically a PS1 port of it. That's it. So this is cool. And this was just real quick. XStation, the optical drive emulator for the PlayStation 1, is getting folder-based browsing, which is really neat. You can put all your Battle Arena to Shinden games together, and all of your all of your discs of Final Fantasy 4, and all of your discs of Riven. Riven, I think, is the biggest one, right? Isn't it like 5?
It's something ridiculous.
It's 4 or 5
I was
discs.
just thinking Final Fantasy 7 and 8 and 9. They're all like 3 or 4 discs.
I think Phantasmagoria is the biggest one. I think it's 7 discs, and it's Japan only.
I was just gonna say that was a PS1 game.
Yeah, Phantasmagoria, PS1. I'm pretty sure there is a 7-disc version of that.
Well, because it's a giant FMV game.
Yeah.
It was making me think of I recently started playing Fear Effect, and that's a 4-disc game. But if you see what you have to do to beat disc 1, it's really not a lot because the game's so graphically intensive.
Oh, it's only on Sega Saturn. I'm sorry.
Saturn, okay.
Yeah, but it has I think it tops the Sega Saturn for most amount of discs. I think that's the most amount of discs on any console. I can't think of anything that.
That's a whole lot, yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of many that are more than 5.
Yeah, I was gonna say my limit's probably 5 with like Baldur's Gate. That was like 4 or 5.
And that was a PC game. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but console games, I think Riven is it for the North
console.
American
My limit is 4, I think.
I think the funniest one is 4 DVDs for Lost Odyssey. I think.
Yeah, that is insane.
It's so big that the 3-disc case that they had made for Blue Dragon wasn't big enough, so they threw like a little envelope, a little white envelope to carry the 4th disc.
That's great.
It's so funny. Okay, and I just wanted to quickly mention this. This week was supposed to be Keanu week, May 21st. Do you know what Keanu Day was?
Nope.
It was supposed to be the release date of not 1 but 2 anticipated Keanu Reeves movies on the same day. Matrix 4 and John Wick 4.
Yeah, but for some reason, though, I thought that was the 22nd.
It was supposed to be on... maybe it was the 22nd. Maybe... no, the 22nd would be Saturday. That wouldn't make sense. It would always be a Friday.
All right.
So, yeah. Now they're going to be released on different days, but... this is leading me to speculate, and I have no credence to this at all, other than maybe a hope, but maybe they're related.
I hope they're not. I really hope they're not, because that's just like dumb to me.
Really?
Yeah, like he said we need guns, lots of guns in both movies. That can't possibly be an Easter egg. It must mean that they share lore. Like the John Wick people like the Matrix.
Yeah.
That's what I got out of it.
Well, also, in
the Matrix, really early, when he sees Lawrence Fishburne jump, he goes, "Whoa! Oh my God! Does that share a universe with Bill and Ted Face the Music? Incredible!"
I mean, because of the existence of Richard Belzer, everything is inside a snow globe. So
Oh, I was gonna say because of the existence of BioShock Infinite, everything is canon.
everything's in because of the Dark Tower. Everything is a multiverse.
At least every Stephen King thing, but with BioShock Infinite, everything.
Yeah, no, but yeah, I was gonna say Richard Belzer from Law and Order has guest starred as Munch on like a billion TV shows as that character.
Yeah,
Um,
that's just amusing. I like that.
and the original
Just fucking with
show
things.
that character is from, the entire show takes place in the imagination of a mentally challenged boy.
Well, you know what that makes me think of is like at the time this was like the most radical ending, but like Bob Newhart's second TV show ended with
Oh
him
yeah,
waking up in bed next to his wife from his first TV show. Like the entire other show was a dream from the
it's like
Bob Newhart show.
that episode
It's
of
fucking
Family Guy
crazy.
where it's basically the at the end of that Dallas episode.
Oh, what the Who Shot?
Yeah, Who Shot
Who Shot?
JR
What's his name?
ending,
Jr. Yeah,
but they use the same actors. They're like, what's Family Guy?
yeah. That's crazy.
That's amazing.
I like when they ended with the space alien like
Yeah.
college students watching Family Guy. So they're like, any questions? Yeah. So the baby, can the family understand him or what? It just cuts the credits.
I love that they make fun of like the nature of the show. It's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
funny. Oh, and I wanted to throw this out there. Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead released on HBO Max this week. Apparently, it's really good.
Oh, really? Because I've seen a couple people live tweeting it that were like, this is bloated and feels like incoherent.
I've seen a bunch of people like it.
Alright, fair enough.
I mean, Zack Snyder never adds a lot of depth. His best thing is that he works with good people. That's number one. Good actors, and he has really good visuals in his movies.
When is he gonna release the Snyder cut of Army of the Dead?
It is the Snyder
When is
cut.
it gonna? Yeah, when is he gonna release the even more Snyder cut, the Snydest cut?
This movie is known for a few things. First of all, it's kind of an homage to his start in Hollywood, where he made a very well-regarded remake of Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, it's a very different vibe from the George Romero one, but at the
Yeah.
same time, it should be. Like,
Yeah,
otherwise,
it's
just
a
watch
totally
the George
different
Romero
movie.
one.
It's a different movie that also has zombies in a mall.
Yeah, like, it should be different. There
Yeah.
were definitely some stupid decisions made by some of the characters, but, like, I had a lot of fun watching the movie.
Yeah, it's to the point where it's good to watch them both. I mean, remakes should be different enough where you want to watch both movies.
Yeah, this was not, like, a message about society and consumerism. It was, like, a mall is where
Fun
they happen
zombie
to be
movie.
trapped. Yeah.
And I think that one was written by James Gunn, if I'm not mistaken. Dawn of the Dead. I know it was written by somebody famous. Yeah, James Gunn. Wow, look at that. James Gunn is awesome.
And also, randomly, that movie had an analog to Ben Stiller's character from Happy Gilmore. That was
Really?
really fucking weird. Yeah. Did you
I've
watch
never
the movie?
seen the remake of Dawn of the Dead. I own it.
Oh, okay. I saw it in theaters, and there's
Yeah.
the guy who had the big mustache, and he's kind of a jerk. And there's at one point, you know that line in Happy Gilmore?
Sure.
You could trouble me for a warm glass of shut the hell up. And
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
what? Yeah, the guy had a line like, you could trouble me for a glass of shut the fuck up. And I'm like, this is really weird. Just that this exists in this movie.
This movie, Army of the Dead, stars Dave Bautista, who's
Yeah.
awesome in pretty much everything he's in. I love his screen presence. I think he's great. And also is notable for completely removing an actor because of a scandal. Chris D'Elia was originally in the movie, and they replaced him with Tig Notaro, a different comedian who doesn't have a sex scandal going on right now.
Good move.
Yeah, and apparently it's pretty seamless. They digitally inserted her as his character, and very favorably.
She got Christopher Plummered.
basically, like they digitally inserted. Yeah, her like it to the point where you can't like if somebody didn't tell you that, you wouldn't be able to really realize.
Sure, yeah. Like once you look for it, you can't unsee it. But if you're
Yeah,
not looking for it, yeah,
exactly. Wanted to throw a couple little things out there as well. Injustice finally is getting an animated movie, I think for HBO Max.
yeah. It was a game. It got a comic adaptation, and because these NetherRealm Studio games are these big story-driven things in and of themselves,
I
like
just want to watch them. I don't want to
yeah,
play
like
the game.
we're kind of begging for a movie because you see these really cool story scenes, and then it's like, okay, now go to standard Mortal Kombat fighting, and you're like, well, all right, I want to see where it goes though.
I want to see a fascist Superman animated movie. That'll be fun.
Oh well, it's called The Boys, and it's longer than a movie.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Superman is much more interesting as a bad guy. I mean, he just is, because he would be. Let's just face it.
We already have that. It's called the Zack Snyder Superman movies.
It's called Dragon Ball Z. But
Goku's not a bad guy. He's just a terrible, terrible father.
Who's this?
Terrible father.
Who, Goku?
Yeah, Goku. Where the fuck were you? Like, do you remember that time? Yeah, remember that time where he like, I forgot what it was, where he finally gets a chance to like go to the world of the living after having died for so long. It's like, oh, perfect opportunity to train. And it's like, you're a fucking kid. Like his entire childhood was missed.
You're letting your former ex-villain raise him.
Well, that wasn't really his choice. He was just in the land of the dead.
I know, but
that was I wish I had watched Dragon Ball before Dragon Ball Z, because if you know what Dragon Ball was before Dragon Ball Z happens, those first 2 or 3 episodes are like
extremely shocking.
The craziest opening to a sequel series.
Kill off the main character, a beloved main character.
Well, they kill him off. Piccolo kills him off with a move that was specifically designed to kill him off. Mm-hmm. And Goku's like, I need you to use that on me. And Piccolo's like, shit, all right. Then he steals his son and just raises it. You're like, what?
Raises him in the wild.
he was the villain of Dragon Ball. Yeah. And not only
he's the big villain of Dragon Ball.
Yeah, he's the final one. And not only that, but when Raditz first shows up, like how many reveals? 1, I'm an alien. You are too. We're brothers.
Yeah, that's true. Before we were under the assumption that he was like,
yeah, he had the monkey tail because it was an adaptation of Journey to the West. But he actually is a space gorilla. Number two, you should be an asshole like me, and you're not because you got fucking brain damage as a kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
And number 3. He one-hit KOs him. He knees him in the chest, and that's the fight. And you're like, what? Like, nobody can do that.
And your
Piccolo couldn't do that to Kid Goku.
The savior of humanity.
Yeah, that shit was bananas. And then he just, like, one-shots him, and then Piccolo and Goku can't beat this guy without cheating, and then Piccolo kills them both. You're like, Jesus Christ. And then later, after that, when the Saiyan Saga is going to start, they're like, oh yeah, Raditz was a scrub. And you're like, what?
That's just amazing. Compared to anything he fights later.
That shit was amazing.
And
it was cool enough in a vacuum, but if I had seen Dragon Ball first, I would have flipped.
and he's also a unit of measurement. He's 5 Raditz.
He's as strong as like 2 Raditz. Like, what? Why does Prince Vegeta compare anything to Raditz? Why does he even know Raditz's name?
He's a nobody, a scrub nobody.
Yeah, some guy we sent over. Oh, Goku's as strong as 1.5 of him. Like, what? I love that on Dragon Ball Z Abridged where they do the scouter readings and it's literally like 1.5 Raditz. That's fantastic.
So funny. Anyway, moving on. This is another great announcement. New Batman animated series from Bruce Timm, the creator of the original Batman the Animated Series.
And the guy whose art style has been very, like, distinctive throughout the decades. The Batman the Animated Series, the Justice League stuff, like, they all have a look, especially with the character faces. Like, and Bruce Timm's art style is just iconic. It's been here the whole time.
So a lot of people labeled that animated DC universe as the Diniverse, but it's really the Timmverse because Bruce Timm had something to do with all of the different series. Paul Dini was the was a writer on many of them. So they were like partners basically. But Bruce Timm has the overall. I think was involved in everything, including Static Shock and like some of the Fringe series. But
Yeah.
But he also did Batman the Animated Series and basically set the tone for animated superhero stuff in the 90s. Without Batman the Animated Series, we probably wouldn't have the MCU. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. They're like.
It greatly helps popularize that superhero for starters, and then expand from there.
It was the Tim Burton Batman was the catalyst, but
and then Justice League. Now you got 7 heroes. Then Justice League Unlimited, where they bring you in. Episode 1 is a Green Arrow episode. Like, see, it's not just the big 7. We're doing other heroes, and they have like Hawk and Dove and stuff like that.
Yeah, and amazing stuff. Those WB shows from the 90s were amazing. I mean, there were lots of other WB shows, animated shows from that time period, like Tiny Toon Adventures and Animaniacs and all, Road Rovers and Freakazoid and all that stuff. But
Freakazoid is still laugh out loud funny.
It's so's Animaniacs. I mean, go back and watch it. It's really good. The new Animaniacs is amazing too. My dad. But anyway, also attached to it is Matt Reeves, who is the director of Cloverfield and quite a few other pretty decent movies.
So the new Batman shows can be like found footage. Oh my god, it's Batman! Ah, shaky cam.
It'll make you throw up. And J.J. Abrams is associated with it, probably only in the producing capacity. When he produces
found footage
things,
and Let's Flare.
They're good. When he directs things, they're not that great. So
when he directs things, they're what fans who've seen this stuff 15 years ago think that's what the material is.
Yeah.
Like for Star Wars and Star Trek. It's like if you kind of know what Star Wars is, if you kind of know what Star Trek is, that's what his movies are.
He only has a cursory knowledge of.
Yeah, exactly. Captain Kirk's the guy who has sex with green women, right? We're putting a scene of that in. What's his name?
But he doesn't get the heart of it.
Jim's the guy who says, "Damn it," or no, not Jim. Bones is the guy who says, "Damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor, not a insert job here."
Not a barber. Yeah.
Yeah, not a bricklayer.
This Batman animated series is coming to HBO Max, which I still maintain is the best bang for your buck streaming service out there. I think it is amazing. It has such a wealth of content in it. And HBO Max also is getting a $10 plan with ads, which will make it much more affordable. I think it's $14.99 without ads. So $10 with ads is a pretty good deal if that's what you want. I don't mind seeing ads if it's something I like. If I'm watching something I like, so I'd rather not have it though, because HBO Max has a lot of really good prestige content that I don't want interrupted. But I still think it's a good idea for people that maybe couldn't afford a $15 plan. So that's pretty cool. And the really bummer stuff of this week, there are 2 people that are going to be greatly missed. One was much more surprising, but unfortunately, we saw the passing of Paul Mooney, who is a very famous comedian. He was a writer during the original,
the old school SNL
run of the SNL. He wrote
I
sketch.
didn't know that at the time. I've only seen him, seen his face on the Chappelle Show, but I didn't know he's been around and doing stuff way before that.
Oh, he's a legend. He wrote the sketch with Richard Pryor and Chevy Chase.
I actually saw that one a couple days ago when somebody posted it on Facebook.
Yeah. He wrote a lot of the racially motivated jokes in SNL that are shocking and still very funny.
I even by today's standards, they're shocking because I
think they're even more shocking.
I was going to say there's certain content that they wouldn't air anymore.
Yeah, exactly. he was also more widely known by our age group as a guy who came on Chappelle's show for a couple of segments.
Wayne Brady makes Brian Gumble
look like
Malcolm X.
Which is one
What?
of the funniest things that's ever been on here.
And then when Wayne Brady finally shows up on
He's
the
like,
show, so I make Brian Gumble look like Malcolm X.
He's like, it was
Mooney! He shoots Chappelle in the leg. It was Mooney!
It was Mooney!
That's great. Give me your sandwich. I said, give me your damn sandwich.
He is one of the most biting senses of humor that I've ever seen. He's very blunt with his delivery, and he just goes out and says...
One of my favorite bits
things.
was when you see these... I think it was these two white commentators talking about the new... Well, the then new, like the Barbershop or one of the sequels movies that came out. Like, oh, Barbershop is a very funny and quirky movie about these people who work at a barbershop and talk about this and that. And Mooney's just like, you know, the barbershop is a front, right? It's front for drugs. And they both just like stare and have no response. It's very funny. They're like,
Paul Mooney is brilliant. I'm sure there are clips of his stand-up on YouTube. Definitely seek out at least the Chappelle's Show stuff to get you started, because it is brilliant. He only
shows up a couple times. Yeah, he's.
But it's brilliant.
I mainly remember the one time where he was like Nostradamus. He was called like Negrodamus, and he's just like saying just this goofy shit like that. It was freaking excellent.
I think he was one of the writers of Chappelle's Show too. So
yeah, he's a riot.
Yeah, the stuff that he wrote was really, really funny. The last one is the one I was referring to. This really made me upset when I heard of this, and for a number of reasons. But Kentaro Miura, the mangaka of Berserk, passed away earlier this month. His publisher, Young Animal Magazine, announced it this week. So he passed away
2
on
weeks
the 6th.
after the fact. Yeah.
He passed away on the 6th, very suddenly. He was only 54 years old.
It was a heart issue. It was aortic dissection, I believe they said.
Aortic dissection, which happens from people that have high blood pressure, generally due to cholesterol issues.
Yeah, well, not to mention, he's a mangaka. Like, forget cholesterol. He must have had extremely high blood pressure all the time anyway. And like, that is the most like demanding. Like, you are never off the clock.
Yeah, let's face it. He also probably smoked. In Japan, a lot of people smoke still.
Yeah, and he was like, he was from the like the 60s, 70s. Yeah.
Yeah,
because he was 54.
Yeah, so
he's 20 years older than we are, and we were born in 86.
Yeah, he started writing comics. He went to art school in 1985. He started Berserk in 1989 officially.
Yeah, I was gonna say officially, because even then, did you see the tweet, like the letter from the author, the mangaka for Hajime no Ippo?
No, I didn't.
That was one of the more moving tributes I saw. But he says that he and Miura had gone to the same art school, and he saw him with sketches of stuff like The Brand at like 18 or 19.
Yeah,
and he was like, "What is this?" And he's like, "That's something I'm thinking of doing something with."
It's widely considered that he started it basically in 1986, which is the year that Lotus and
year we were born. Yeah.
And he has. I'm not going to say much else because we have an entire show dedicated to it in Corrective Consciousness. But Berserk is one of the best-selling manga of all time in Japan. It is not a cult hit over there. It is a gigantic hit.
And even here, by the way, one thing I should point out is also on Twitter, someone had mentioned this, but when they go to cons for Dark Horse stuff, they mention that every time Berserk is their best-selling product. It's like more than like Hellboy. Like, even in America, where it's more of
even more than Sin City, which is a popular
like Berserk isn't it's not full-on niche over here, but like the idea that it sells better than all this other stuff, it's like a Japanese manga, like it's that good.
The only other thing that I'm going to say, because we will talk in more in depth about everything about him, is his art is literally unparalleled.
Yeah, but I don't
I
know how he
it,
makes more than one chapter in his lifetime. Like, it's insane.
saying he is probably the best manga artist ever to live is not a stretch. You can make an argument, but he's going to be in the
He
conversation.
does things with shadows hatching and cross hatching that I've never seen anywhere else.
I don't think I've the amount of detail, the amount of little tiny lines that he needed to draw to get the effects that he did on
Mm-hmm.
normal panels is
That's what I was going to mention.
unparalleled.
That's what I was going to mention. Usually, when you have the big spread, this is the thing I want you to see. Like, usually that's the panel that gets a lot more detail in it. Like, this is my big moment. But he puts all that kind of detail into even his smaller panels. Even the comic relief panels where things are drawn like chibi style, there's still a lot of detail with like the background characters looking at them going, huh? Like, he puts an ungodly amount of work into every panel he does, like even the little ones. And like nobody does that.
Yeah, so a very shocking and upsetting loss that happened this month, and it leaves also the long running series. It's been running for roughly 30 years.
Yeah, it's been just about our entire lifetimes.
32 years actually. It's been running regularly since '89.
Yeah, like it famously takes very long for a chapter to come out.
I
By the
mean,
end, it was like once every like 3 months, maybe
if you
longer
saw
than
the
that.
art, you would understand.
Yeah, look at any like just Google Berserk art. There might be some not safe for work stuff in there. I wouldn't be surprised, but a lot of it probably is safe to look at, and it's just gorgeous.
But it leaves a story that had a lot of mystery and really cool things about to be happening into it unfinished
How
and
far did you get? Did
unrealized.
you catch up?
I am completely caught up in the printings, the U.S. printings. I don't
Okay.
think I haven't read the scanlations of the partial volume that isn't out yet.
Yeah, because the last chapter is 363, so I don't know what that translates to for the volumes, I guess.
Let me take a look. Give me a quick second. I'm
Yeah.
gonna grab volume 40, which is the most
Yeah.
recently released one off my shelf. The Fantasia arc, Elf Island chapter. Triumphant Return at Dawn is the last one.
All right, I'll have to look up whatever the titles are,
Yeah, let me
but
see.
whatever.
Yeah, so it's very. I think there are only like 5 chapters after this. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's pretty much people settling in and
So,
being settled in.
but yeah, like I said, there, it really stinks. Very sudden thing, obviously. It would be something if he had like a chronic illness, or was an old man. He had neither of these things. So it's a hard thing to swallow. And I've been reading this ever since I was 18. So ever since I knew about it, I loved it and couldn't get enough of it. And all of our friends love it too. Especially Perry, who
Oh
you
yeah,
mention all the time.
he has the '90s anime.
Yeah, so do I, for that matter. But we'll
Ah,
talk about
nice.
all that stuff. We'll get back to that. We need to have material for Corrective, but
Of course.
we're going to be talking about Berserk and Kentaro Miura on Thursday. Then normally we would continue our pre MCU discussion, but this
Yeah,
was a
this takes
significant event.
precedence. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is the show for this week, unless you have anything else.
Yeah, one super quick thing.
please.
I've been mentioning the new KOF character reveals
Oh, yeah.
that aren't really reveals, but it's more like, yeah, these people are here too, just like you thought they would be. So Ralph and Clark, we've seen Ralph and Clark. They're just as brawny and fucking devastating with their throws as ever. So there we go. We got Ralph and Clark
You know
and
what their
Leona.
original games were, right?
It was Akari Warriors, right?
Akari Warriors, and then they got co-opted into the Metal Slug franchise.
Okay, and even Leona did too.
What was that?
Even Leona did too.
Oh yeah,
She was like a DLC character for one of the games. But yeah, so their team exists now. Full team, hooray!
And
That's it.
I think their dynamic was switched because they wanted to do something fun with them. I think Ralph was the captain, and now Clark is the captain, and so like
sure.
apparently Ralph got demoted. So
Ouch.
yeah, I'm the captain now. But yeah, that somebody posted that, and I thought it was funny. That is the show for this week. Please remember to subscribe to the Corrective Consciousness YouTube and SoundCloud pages. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. It helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. You can also catch us on Thursday for our sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness, the podcast where we explore the inanity of pop culture. Finally, you can friend me as vysethebold on pretty much anything. Just let me know who you are.
And you can follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, getting in on exclusive live streams, I've just mentioned this, but I've recently started Fear Effect, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play.
Feel sorry for you.
that game's all right. Or getting in conversations with me and other patrons on Discord, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
All right, everybody. We will have a in-depth discussion about the Berserk media franchise on Thursday then.
Until next time, everyone.
Bye-bye.